Henry's there.
Mm.
So
That's a
yeah.
whole lot.
So Henry may jump on and do a little public service announcement about addiction and how important it is to get help. If you're in that situation, you must always get help, because you're going to burn bridges and ruin your life, and you're going to be alone when it comes down to it if you don't do anything to get help.
Exactly. And I think that highlighting that your husband, I'm not sure if you're going to join with him, but the men's mental health, my second annual one on Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, is really going to complement what you're going to talk about tonight, as I looked and read about it. And I said, oh, that's a good complimentary way to going in there. And we will be playing intervention. And that way, the questions that I've asked, I'm going to have the music played, and then they'll be able to talk about different things according to the music and the question. So it's going to be a great time, but I think this is a great segment. Thank you for having me on tonight, so that way I can join in and we can continue to help build a community of awareness and action.
Yes. You're welcome. Flavor, can you hear me?
The question is, can y'all hear me?
Yay! Heard that deep voice. Now, and I love that you come out saying that the question is, can you hear me? Because that so fits the topic.
Yes, it does.
So fits the topic.
Wow.
So I'm gonna let you run it off and start off explaining to us what it is that you have been trying to grow through. And peace and love, Shane on point, and peace and love, Kendo. My brother's in here. Dope artist. You need to get a hold of Shane on point and make some music. Dope artist and dope person all around. But anyway, so tell us, can you hear me? What's that mean to you?
Well, greetings to everyone, all those on board and listening out there in the world. What it means to me is...
Oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry. It's so scratchy on my end. I can barely hear. I'm sorry. I don't know what's going on.
It's his microphone.
Okay.
Wait, let me get a little closer here.
It's going in and out. It's like your signal, but it's not your signal because you're using your phone, right? So
that is correct.
You don't have a microphone hooked in.
I do not. No, it's just me straight up the speaker.
I don't know. It's rough. It's just like every other word you sound like a popcorn thing again. You come in clear. You look crystal clean. It's just the voice is choppy.
Let me look at this. Check the settings real quick. Audio, speaker, mic volume. Is this any clearer at all?
No.
Okay, hold on. Let me see what it is.
Do you have a microphone? Maybe you could put in a mic. Even headphones that plug in
or something like that, because it might be picking up background.
It's not picking up. It's not picking up.
Okay.
It's his. He did it last time. It's just choppy. It's.
Well, let me. Because I went out again, and maybe if I restart the phone, but I don't want to take up time waiting on me. But you want me to try that real quick?
I do want to hear what you have to say, though. It's like you come in clear and then out at the same time. It's like popcorn.
Okay, I'll restart the phone and I'll come right back.
Okay. He said maybe
oh, that's nice. What Laura Brand said. Beautiful people. That was nice.
I did try turning it down a little bit. It's he did this last time too. It might be the speaker on his phone. It might be the microphone on his phone itself.
Right. Hi, Kendall.
Yeah, maybe it's the speaker itself. That's what I'm thinking too. He's going to reset our system. He had to do the same thing last time and it still was choppy. That's why I think maybe the microphone's going on his phone. But anyways, this is a very heavy topic and he's been dealing with a lot. And I don't want to say too much because I really want him to tell his story. What he said something that was very important to me, that the more that he shared about his feelings and emotions, the more that he was being called, not called, being, I don't want to say it wrong. Maybe made seem to feel weak. And it shouldn't be that way. Like a man should be able to express themselves. Anybody should be able to express themselves regardless of the sex they are. And it shouldn't be that you're overly expressing that you've become weak. That's not cool.
But it's also about the people who want to just get, trigger you to say something, to gaslight you. And when you're in that confident mode of who you are, then something like that doesn't need to be taken into consideration in your brain. You don't have space for it. We shouldn't have the time to do that. So I'm hoping that when he comes on and he talks more about it, that at some point he was able to stand up and let people know that, what you're saying doesn't even matter, to the point where, because it's not about being soft or weak. I understand what people are talking about when they do say certain things that may appear to be, oh, here he is. Yay! Let's hope we
Can you hear us now? Or can we hear you? Say something.
Okay, I'm speaking.
Oh my
God! Hey, you got it all the way right. Yes, sir.
That's weird though, because now I can barely hear y'all. It's like my speaker. Dang. Oh wait, no, I didn't turn my headphones on. Let me do this.
We hear you amazing. That's why I think it's your phone. Maybe your phone got wet. We hear you amazing.
Well,
technology. And I want to introduce DDH finally showed up. So this is DDH the bubble. And then Flavor Hype.
Yep.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. This is the weirdest. It's like the speaker isn't working. I can like hear you through like that, but it's just very low because it's not through the speaker like a normal. But as long as y'all can hear me, I guess I'm better with that. That was the main problem.
So what's that mean? What's it mean? Can you hear me? Explain that to me. Explain to me what you're feeling, that overly expressing yourself is considered a weakness.
It has been more so. It's been an increasing thing because as many times as. Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah, it is an echo. It is an echo. It's okay.
There's an echo. How's that?
No, you're okay. I got it.
When you first were talking, it was echo. I don't know. I'm gonna put mine on speaker.
Go ahead.
Okay. The can you hear me really has a lot more to do with how society has kind of shaped us into believing that, if men speak, it's considered weak to an extent. And obviously I don't really like that because we get tagged as, I guess, less effective communicators. But at the same time, when we do communicate, no one wants to hear what we have to say anyway. So I'm like, well, wait a minute. Which one is it going to be? We get to practice more communication. We have to be able to speak to do that. But the communication really goes both ways. So if you're not listening, you're not really paying attention to what we have to say. And then there's a lot of miscommunication along the way. But, we do kind of get stigmatized as weak if we're talking, if we're expressing our issues and things like that. I really, really hate that because I love to be able to express myself. And I think I have, good sense and social awareness enough to be able to articulate whatever message I need to get across. That being said, I was told one time, this is the weirdest and craziest thing, because I was expressing something that I needed or something that I wanted. Like if I was talking too much about it, they said I was whiny. And I'm like, whiny. You want me to talk, but when I do, you call me whiny for speaking. Come on, like seriously. And so how does that really affect us? How does that make us better? How does that get us better? How does that create an environment where we would want to be able to communicate, speak, and express ourselves? It's like it's hustling backwards.
So they say they want you to be in, I'm just going to use these terms because they fit, not because it belongs. They want you to be in your feminine energy, but when you become in your feminine energy, they criticize you and belittle you, and they don't like the masculine energy because it's too strong for them.
Yeah, that's pretty much controlling, overbearing, toxic masculinity or whatever the case may be. But it's like, look, if all I'm doing is expressing myself, then, and get this, of course, we can even be right with what we're saying, but they just don't like the way we're saying it. So then it becomes tone policing. And I'm like, come on, really? That's what we're going to go with? So we just kind of get beat over the head with whatever it is that we try to do. It's the weirdest thing. It's extremely frustrating because we have a lot to say.
So let's say I was in a situation with you and you were trying to express your feelings to me. Show me what that's like.
I guess it would depend on, I might need a little more context. I guess I can create the context. Let's say if there was an issue between us, we were like friends. If you did something maybe once or twice that I thought might become a bigger problem later on down the road. Here's an example of how I would approach it. I don't know. Let's say you crashed my car a couple of times or something like that. Just throwing that out there. Say, hey, I wanted to go in and express this now because I see it probably becoming an issue. I don't want it to become something that could be perpetual that I hold on to. I want to go in and kind of address it now, and maybe we could iron out whatever wrinkles are right there before it becomes something bigger and it's a bigger snowball. So can we just go in and talk about it now? That's basically how I would put it. The exact same tone, basically the exact same words. I think it has to do with the other person if they feel attacked by me saying something about the issue. Even if, I think that was worded very well. No extra tone, nothing loud about it, nothing profane. It was just, I want to address something that, you did. Now, I'm not assigning intent to what it is that you did. I'm just saying this is something that happened. You happened to do it. I don't think you maliciously did it, but I want to address it because then it can become something you are consciously aware of from here on out. That's basically how I do it. That's my approach. That's my intent. And that's how I anticipate everything going. Doesn't always happen that way.
So I can speak from an unhealed version because I used to be at one time. So as a woman from an unhealed version, when we always were feeling like we were being attacked constantly, we had to defend ourselves. And I don't like the fact that we're doing men and women. I don't, because I see this so much between just beings, people. But yet we have to do men and women because there's a stigma for you not being able to express yourself because you're supposed to be strong and silent and provide. And that's not fair. Like all that right there is not fair. It should be you are a being and you have a feeling and personality and energy that needs to be expressed. You should be able to, especially if you're doing it mindful where you are not attacking because you love yourself and respect yourself. Yet those that don't love themselves and respect themselves will see that you was coming at them using words like perpetual. To me, I know what that means, but to somebody who feels beneath that conversation will feel like you're attacking them with that because that's too big of a word for them to wrap their head around. So you have to break it down. And it's sad that we have to dummy ourselves down to those, but maybe we need to do better. I think we need to do better choices before we choose people to be in our lives. And it's sad. And the reason why I say that is because we can't tell how smart a person is. We can't tell what their history was. We can't tell if they're healed or unhealed. and we can't tell what their triggers are. All that lies with the person. None of that lies with you. Yet everybody thinks that because it affects them, that you should be more sensitive to it. And that's not fair, because if it affects me, then I should do some self-searching and look at myself and reevaluate how I receive.
Yes, there have been times when I've done that before, even without speaking to another person, just thinking to myself, this is an issue. Why is this an issue? Why am I triggered by this? What's going on? What happened before? Is it just because of someone saying something to me before in a previous relationship that kind of built into something else? Is it that, or is it really, do I really think that this person is deliberately trying to hurt my feelings or hurt me? Like, I can't assume that. I can only go on why it's affecting me, because I have to put that practice and that discipline in myself to understand, since I can't assign intent to what they're saying, I have to make sure that I understand from a place of understanding. I need to be receptive to it without being defensive about it. I can't, I don't want to make myself into a defensive listener.
I get that. I get that. And that's sad that we have to be that way. I'm going to introduce Gil for a minute because I want her to read the comments. Peace and love, Gil.
Peace and love. I am the wrong one to pick for the reading of the comments. My glasses are broke, so right now I couldn't even tell you what language they're in.
Okay, I can't see it either. Jonathan, do you see it? It's on the screen.
Oh, wait, hold on. My broken glasses. Let me see. Kendall Cobb says, it's how society is. It's going to be more critical, unfortunately, and on both sides, especially in our generation. Now there's no respectful reasoning. It's listening and understanding wholeheartedly of what's the, oh my gosh, my glasses, point if they refuse to do too. Definitely understandable on such habits. And yeah, no, I can't read anymore. Holy cow, I need new glasses.
Okay.
Yeah,
Welcome.
I think I should be able to, if need be, if you need me to do that.
Okay, because I can't see it neither. So, and like I said, Henry is on security duty. So, but yeah, I can receive what she was saying. It is institution, and it's sad that it's institution, because it shouldn't be that way. We shouldn't walk around and say, I have to walk around on eggshells because I don't know who I am going to trigger. I have to walk around on the eggshells because I'm coming from my own personal unhealed version. That you should be more sensitive to that. I don't think that's fair. I don't think that's fair. And I don't like that we're doing this. I love that we're doing this for men, but I don't like that we have to do this because of society. I just don't see it fair. I don't see the fairness in life that you aren't able to speak your feelings. And I didn't think that anything you said was wrong. Because if we don't put healthy boundaries up, and if we don't speak on something before it gets too bottled up, then someone's going to explode. And I would say to you, well, I never knew that you felt that way. Why didn't you tell me a long time ago?
You know what? That is also something that I've come to experience. And I guess it kind of just depends on the person you speaking to, whoever you're in a relationship with. There can be a couple of different things going on here. So one, it could be that it's kind of tough for someone to hear that they might be doing something wrong that's hurting you. And I understand that. And so then it becomes, well, are they going to be accepting and try to, fix whatever it is, try to understand where I'm coming from, and then try to address the issue? Or are they going to get defensive and try to deflect? And so what I've had happen is, and it's me, and I really try to understand and trying to, I do a lot of, peeling back layers of the onion, so to speak. And so if something came up, if it's a one-time thing, and I'm thinking about maybe I should address this now. Well, it might seem like I'm nitpicking every little thing that they're doing. So I try to make sure that I understand, is it really that big of an issue? One, is it just a one-time thing that they're completely oblivious of? Two, and three, why does it trigger me? Why do I feel a certain way about it? If it's just one little thing, then maybe it's just me overthinking it, overreacting, or something like that. And I don't want to say, hey, you did this, I don't like that, to where it seems like I'm very critical of every little thing they might do that might irritate me. And so then if it comes up again, I'll probably bring it up the second time, or maybe the third time it's done. But it's nothing that really, if it's something that doesn't happen so frequently, that I can address it and have them recently remember, okay, I just did this last week, I just did it a few days ago, and I'm doing it again today. I remember that. If it's done like a month ago or 2 months ago or something, and then you don't really do it again, then it might happen like another couple of months. I'm like, well, since I know it's kind of something, I want to kind of address it before it becomes something that becomes a little more frequent. So that's kind of what I thought. And then you get stuck in that, well, why didn't you say something the first time? I'm like, well, I didn't. I was trying to decipher whether or not it was just me overreacting, or whether or not it was just a one-time thing, or maybe it kind of, completely oblivious to it. So it's kind of the eggshell thing, but you got to kind of, I guess, take the temperature of the room at the time, and wherever that person is, wherever they could be emotionally. It's kind of tough to do because you don't know how they're going to react.
I get you. Christy, would you like to say anything on that? Christy? She's not with us. Gil, would you like to say anything on that?
Sure. I think that I even find that sometimes what upsets people is you expressing your own feelings makes other people uncomfortable sometimes. If you don't have the right way to articulate, there seem to be these rules now about how you're supposed to express them, and when you're supposed to express them, and with what tone you're supposed to express them, and all these other things that are supposed to make others comfortable, when sometimes you are just expressing your feelings regardless of anybody, if anybody else is around. And I also have found myself afraid sometimes to express my feelings for multiple reasons, but not just that people will get triggered, but sometimes that they'll misunderstand, or sometimes that something that you're feeling, you're afraid they might personalize and it might hurt them. And or just because you don't want to be the Debbie Downer in the room, or the cheese ball, or labeled anything really other than cool and collected. And I think that's a real problem. At the same time, I see a lot of the younger generation really finding a way to both express their feelings and receive other people's feelings in a way that I think is more developed than we had, and that is more invited and allowed. So, I believe that is changing, and progress typically happens slow, but I do believe that progress is happening. And then also in terms of sensitivity, there are cases of if you've been the victim of certain types of abuse, you will look for changes in tone, you will look for nuances, you will look for certain body postures, you will look for certain facial expressions. And even if you're not trying to be hyper vigilant, even if you're trying to be open-minded, there are certain cues because you've seen them before in relationships that will automatically trigger the nervous system or the brain. And of course you can work through, but you learn to pick up on those signals because you've needed to. So it's not always a matter of being offended. Sometimes it's a matter of feeling threatened.
So I have a question really quick. If your intent isn't there, your intent isn't to hurt somebody, your intent isn't to come maliciously to a person because you're coming with care and love and respect, whose fault is it that you feel that you are being attacked? Whose fault is it that you aren't able to receive it the proper way?
Well, I think that we're looking at it the wrong way in terms of assigning fault. I think that the better solution would be to have open communication about that. You've expressed how you felt. Now I'm feeling X, Y, and Z about it because it felt like you were attacking me or whatever. And is that true? Am I picking up something that you didn't intend? And can you please clarify?
So before you go into further into it deeper, you said two things that kind of that contradict itself to me.
Okay.
That I perceive as contradicting itself within itself when you said that there's not really a fault there, but yet we find faults when we feel attacked. So there wouldn't be
but the reason I'm saying there wasn't really a fault is because the scenario, the hypothetical that I was presented with is that the person delivering had no ill intent. They had no malice intent. Therefore, there was a misunderstanding, and that's not I don't think that assigning fault to the person who was misunderstood or the person misunderstanding furthers the conversation or gets us to a better place.
I want to know in life, and then I'm going to pass the mic because I'm going to ask everybody. I want to know in life, when did it come to a point where there is sides and we're in battle? When conversation cannot be just a discussion and it has to become a form of attack? When did words become weapons? And when did it become so that it affected them so much that it hurt feelings? I just can't wrap my head around it at all. I've never been the one to do it, but I've had it done. So I can't say it's because of this or because of that, because I don't know why it happens. But why can't people just communicate with pure and genuine intentions? And why does it have to get to the point of that we have to get crayons and coloring books out just to explain a picture? Because neither of us are fighting. And neither of us are on the opposite sides, because obviously we're on the same frequency for a reason, that we are on the same battlefield, on the same side. There's no fight. It's a conversation. And it doesn't have to be a fact of that you hurt my feelings or you come at me wrong or you were too aggressive. It shouldn't be that way if you're talking in a manner of respect for yourself, because then you're giving off respect to somebody else. So I'm going to ask Moon Tortoise, thank you for tapping in. I'm going to ask you, when did it come a point that we had to pick and choose our words because they became weapons?
I missed the Crusades, the Spanish Inquisition. I missed all of that shit. I wasn't around. Actually, you know what? I think I was around, because I feel like I've been here 100 years and I'm tired of it. Tired of the way people are acting, and this run I'm really tired of it. So when did it become that? I don't know. I think that everybody is supposed to follow a certain standard, right? I don't know if it's Christian values. I don't know if it's good old fashioned follow your flag or whatever the hell it is. but we were supposed to behave a certain way. And in trying so hard to force ourselves to be professional and businesslike, we forgot that we're fucking human. We're animals. We're animals. We're animals. And ants, I'm longing for their conversations. I talk about ants because it's pheromone trails and little feelers moving around and shit. No one's going to sit there and I have to force myself to go look, whoa, person, I haven't talked to him forever. Hey, look, I have to pause you. I don't know what you're talking about anymore. You don't stop. Hi, I'm Moon Tortoise. I'm having a fucking weird day, and I love you guys. I don't know when conversation completely broke down with everybody, but I can't talk to anybody anymore. I can't talk to anybody on a basis that they talk too long because they're starved for normal conversation outside of a job place or something. I can't talk to them about anything anymore, it seems like. I'm so out of touch with everybody on the earth that I feel crazy. And none of it has to do with my gender.
That
None
part.
of it. None of it. Everybody sucks right now. Except you guys. I love you.
So SGF Graham, when is it words become weapons? When did they become that you can't conversate with somebody because, or not even say not conversate? Let's do this a scenario within yours. You can't even look at somebody because then you looked at them too long and that you threatened them by looking at them.
When they gave a situation like that power. That's all it is. When certain things are given power, people exploit it to their best ability.
So Jonathan, I can't help you with an unhealed person. I can't help you with somebody who constantly feels like no matter what you say or do is coming at them with daggers because you are being respectful to yourself. They say treat people the way you want to be treated, yet people aren't ready to receive what they do.
No, they're really not. And actually, bringing up winded words, words or conversation, the things people said really begin to be able to attack people. It was already said, kind of, in the Bible, really, like your tongue can either give life or take life. You can say so many hurtful, mean, deliberately malicious things to someone and they have an effect. They've always had that ability. It's just up to that person. Now, sure enough, in the conversation, there's an encoder and a decoder. So the decoder is the person listening. The encoder is delivering the message. If they deliver that message, I guess the best possible way, and the decoder is like, oh, okay, I get what you're saying. I understand that clearly. Cool, got it. Sometimes the decoder just does not want to decode it. They are only going to listen to an extent and parse out parts of what you say. They're not listening to understand, they're just listening for triggers. And that has to deal with what you were saying if they're unhealed. Now, yes, it is a process for them to heal themselves, but sometimes there are those types of people to exhibit their behaviors that would suggest they don't want to be healed because they don't want to have to face accountability, accept accountability, because along with accountability, there's also a level of shame that they have to get through in order to heal from that. And they don't want to feel that shame. They can't be at fault. So they might create a story that's bits and pieces of what you said, and they'll fill in the blanks with something else that victimizes them. And that's a whole other journey. But yeah, the words have always been, they've had the ability. It's all about how we use it, and we can only control what and how we say. We can't control what the other person interprets.
Sometimes I think people overtalk too. I think they overly express themselves too much that it becomes an issue, because there wasn't one when we first talked. But if I continue going and going and going and going and going, I'm no longer venting. Now I'm just talking because I want to hear my voice. And I want you to receive my side, and I don't feel that you're receiving exactly what I'm saying right. So I'm going to keep going until I am convinced that you get it. And the only reason why I know that, because I used to do that. I would beat a dead horse while it was down, and then come back later and talk about the dead horse that I beat to let you know why I beat that horse. And that problem lied with me.
Poor horse.
The problem lied with me.
Mm.
I have known Moon Tortoise since 2021-ish, 22, and lived with 24/7, been around, and we've never had an argument.
No.
We've never had an
disagreements.
argument. We've had a disagreement,
Yeah,
but we've never argued. We've had a disagreement. I have yelled at Moon Tortoise and said, never drink the fucking water out of the faucet again. Received it and walked away.
But did I stop?
No, but received what I said because of knowing
did
that I said it. Because I said it out of love, because I care, because there's parasites in the damn faucet.
Kimberly, tell me a fault about myself right now.
Tell you a fault about yourself right now, that you drive yourself insane, and in your silence is loud. You can't get out of your head.
You try so hard to be unbothered that I think you get bothered by small things. I love you.
And that doesn't hurt me because it's true. And I don't
That doesn't
feel like
hurt me
that's
because
and I don't feel like it's an attack because I know it comes from a place of love from somebody who loves me.
yeah, I
That's
don't
the key.
want to. Yeah, that's it.
I will call up Moon Tortoise and I will say, I'm going to use for example today what I called about the I said, this is what Jonathan wants to name the title. I said, I asked ChatGPT a shorter version, what do you think? And he's like, I like it, and maybe and I'm like, okay, thank you. And that was that. And that right there was a whole huge conversation that lasted for 2 minutes.
Wow.
Because we say what we have to say. We're not trying to fight. We're not trying to push our opinion onto you and make it become yours. And we're talking to receive, not to speak.
That's right. And I'm sorry about the Alex Jones intro. It's been a weird day.
I like the Alex Jones intro. I think that's when you're your best. I always try to potato salad you.
I know. I'm dealing with a bunch of shit.
But so it's hard to be just you in this world when there's so many stigmas and so many I'm going to say litigations, so many propagandas, so many different things that you have to come over and hurdles you have to jump through. And it sucks because sometimes just being is hard. And it shouldn't be that just men have a hard time doing it. That's why I can't wrap my head around why we have to have a mental health awareness month for men, because men shouldn't be treated any different than female. Because they're people and they matter.
There's just thousands of reels out there about how pitted against each other we are. There's huge podcasts and these hateful, spiteful shows about men and women fighting each other and about fucking each other. And like, wow. I know it's part of the algorithm you look up, but you know what? It surrounds you. It's around you. You know, I'm bothered. I've had to learn how to control bother, because I feel it's impossible to stroll through this world without being, cautioned or bothered or upset or triggered by something. I mean, something's going to really set you off mentally. It's impossible not to, whether you have PTSD or something just irritates you. And man, you see it. If you see it, you see it. We got to quit being so pitted against each other, gender-wise and roles. The roles thing is really coming into play here hard. Those are for cavemen. We're supposed to be advanced.
Supposed to be.
People with long hair shouldn't talk to people that don't have hair. It's so crazy. I don't know why the world is the way it is. They're dividing us in every aspect, from our skin color to our sex, to our nationality, to our religion. We are divided in
They used to kill
everything.
people like me. We are.
We're
They used to
divided,
kill people like me. Lefties.
left-handed.
Remember that? Remember they used to
No.
torture them and beat them and kill them?
Those
But we're
left-handed.
everywhere.
Those sinister southpaws.
The left-handed people. And I can't wrap my head around why things are the way they are. It's sad. And in the strong people, I wanna take a moment of silence for the strong people, because that strength is hard to have and to maintain being strong. I feel like crying for every second of the day because I can feel everything. And I feel like maybe I did something wrong when I'm not even doing nothing wrong. I got a message from Chrissy saying she apologized. Her microphone was muted, and I felt like that she had to go. So I feel bad because I didn't know that her microphone was muted. I didn't mute it, but I can't unmute it once you do it. And I didn't realize it. So I feel bad now. I personally feel bad. And maybe it has nothing to do with me. She just had to go. But I care about her and I wanted to hear what she had to say, and she couldn't stay because of something else happened. But yet I feel bad.
It's called empathy.
I feel bad for waking up sometimes because I didn't wake up the right way. That's not fair. That's not fair.
You know, I wanted to touch on something. I think you kind of mentioned it, and it stood out to me a little bit, because as far as, you know, us being able to speak as far as humans go, yes, and, you know, us being kind of pitted against each other, like men, women, so often we're a product of our environment and our upbringing. So it really starts in the household.
Mm-hmm.
But if it doesn't start in the household, then the environment around us will kind of shape the way we behave and respond and react to things. So wherever we are, in whatever type of socioeconomic status or cultural status, wherever we are, that's where it kind of starts. The household influences us, the vicinity that we're in, as far as our environment, where we're around, our neighborhood, our culture, that shapes and conditions us a certain way. And then there are different world views that we kind of, as we go through life, oh, this sounds like a good thing to follow. Oh, wait a minute, that sounds like a good thing to follow. So we kind of shift a little bit here and there as far as what we're going to listen to, how we're going to behave, and who we are as people, who we're comfortable with as people. But as far as the men, the women, and the men being able to speak, like, that's been such a thing where if we talk too much, I mean, I've said it before, like, oh man, you sound like a female, like a little girl or something like that. Like, we emasculate those men who speak and talk about, you know, feelings, emotions, or whatever, as if they're not supposed to have them. And I think I've said it before in one of my posts, where it's not that we don't have it, we don't feel the pain, or we don't have the emotion, we just don't express it the same way or at those times. And so I think we get so used to appearing and being stoic that it really comes across as, well, nothing's going to bother that person. Nothing does bother that person. They don't have feelings anyway. And something was said on like a reel or something like that, where we'll say, like, women kind of look to men, they don't want them to be emotional. They want them to have emotion, but they don't want them to be emotional, because whenever they're emotional, they'll look for that man to be their rock, which sounds great, and I get it. But then the guy said, when you say that you want that man to be that rock, okay, fine, you say that, but how many feelings, how many emotions does a rock have? so then that kind of, it kind of blew my mind that he said it like that. I was like, wow, we want him to be that. We don't want him. We want to have someone who doesn't have emotion, but we want them to express the emotion that we don't want them to have. So it's, what are you really saying here? And I think it's really just all about, it's the social conditioning. I don't want to say the country, but I mean, it's just different cultures and different behaviors. We get shaped a certain way, and it cycles. It continues and continues. It's just in perpetuity that happens. We tend to go along with it because we're just used to doing it. So if someone breaks out of that, we shame them for it, or we use these pejorative terms that just kind of make them feel like they're shamed. They shouldn't feel that way. They shouldn't express themselves this way. Otherwise, they'll be labeled as something less than. Less than human? I mean, I don't want to go there with that. Well, that's kind of weird. Why is that? Why do we do that to each other? And I can't really answer that question. It's just an observation of me seeing it happen and me being guilty of doing that myself. Of you talking, and all those emotions. I mean, I'm not a female, I'm not a girl, whatever. And then as I grew up, I'm like, wait, I can't say that, because it's not like expressing yourself as something less than. It's just that we're not looked to do that. So we're expected to not be as human as everyone else.
So I had a different experience.
I want to clarify something real quick, Gil, before you say something. I want to clarify, just because I said we shouldn't have to talk about it doesn't mean we're not going to talk about it, because we have to talk about it. Just because we shouldn't have to talk about race doesn't mean we don't have to talk about it, because we have to talk about it because society made it. Just because we shouldn't have to talk about different men versus women doesn't mean we're not going to talk about it, because we have to talk about it because society made it important to talk about it, because men's mental health does not matter. It doesn't. There's a lot of things in this world that isn't right. And I can't wrap my head around why it is the way it is. And I said we shouldn't have to talk about it because we shouldn't have to, but we have to, because society made it that way, because people made it that way. I don't want you to be my protector, and I don't want you to lead me if you can't express how you feel. I don't want you to go to work all day as a Black man, and I'm going to say it this way, out in this world where you're constantly being judged, and come home and not be able to have feelings, not being able to speak. People are dropping off left and right off the podcast because I said it shouldn't have to be this way. It shouldn't be this way. It's shitty that it is. So that's why we're here on Unseen Twisted Truth, because we're going to talk about it. We talk about the things that we don't want to talk about. We talk about the things that we think we shouldn't have to. We shouldn't have to talk about the fact that Henry likes what Henry likes and Henry's name is Henry. But we have to, because Henry's left-handed. So I apologize, Gil, and I just wanted to put that out there because we had a comment saying I thought we were going to talk about something that was important, and we are going to talk about something important, because that's why the subject is what it is. We're going to go back to the subject because the subject matters. We shouldn't have to. Doesn't mean we're not going to. The subject matters.
But community is not important.
Mental health.
What do you mean it's
matters.
not important? I want to respond to this comment right there. But no, actually, Gilly, please go. I'm so sorry.
So my experience growing up, the men in my family were much more expressive than the women in general. In fact, I tended to take after them emotionally rather than my mom or my aunt or some other women, my sisters, other women in my family that were much less expressive, more stoic, more emotionally, I don't want to say cold, because it's not that they were cold. They just weren't as expressive. They didn't hug as much. They didn't laugh as much. They didn't cry as much. They did, they were just more even. And I tended to take more after the men. It wasn't until, and then I always had, I had records that talked about it's all right to cry, and, and Tommy wants a doll or whatever, or, and all of these things. And so to me, that was normal. It wasn't until I probably got into like public middle school that I started to hear boys say to one another, you know, disparaging things or insulting things when one would express their feelings. That's actually where I had my first introduction to that sort of narrative in society. And I continued to believe that it was wrong. I was very expressive that it was wrong. I think that everybody should be able to express their feelings. When I had children, I did not look at my boys and girls different in terms of how I taught them to express. They were all, you know, even in terms of that. Of course, their personalities, you know, dictated how some things went. But I remember one of my children telling me that, you know, because of that, I didn't teach them maybe some of the things that they needed to protect themselves with other guys, when they were looked at as different or weird or feminine, for the way that I taught them to express themselves, and ways that I taught them not to, I guess, in terms of being violent or whatever. And so I and then you can look at social media, and you will find plenty manosphere things. You will find plenty like ultra, you know, I forget what it's called. You will find plenty of misandry as well, as misogyny, but you will also find people that are talking about these things, that do find men's mental health important. I remember one of our last marriage counselors, one of the things that they taught was that women cannot handle men's emotions. And I remember feeling at the time, I cannot handle my husband's emotions because they were explosive. They were all over the place. They tended to be vindictive, and malicious. But that wasn't how I viewed all men. And so I remember having a little cognitive dissonance with that, because on one hand, I didn't have that same value in terms of all men, all women. On the other hand, it fit my situation, you know, well, because the feelings he wasn't expressing is, gee, I'm having a hard time at work, and I feel like there's a lot on my plate. I'm really overwhelmed. I want you to pitch in more, or could you do this, or could I have fight? That wasn't the type of conversations. So had those been the feelings, or gosh, I lost my grandmother, you know, whatever. I'm having trouble with some coworkers or some friends. Those things I could handle. It was making me responsible for his feelings, and all that was wrong in the world that I couldn't. And but there were counselors who were teaching that. So I am not in denial that this is still something that we struggle with. And as far as society goes, but I believe we've been making progress for quite a long time. I believe the conversation happened, you know, back in the 70s, even before I was born. And that the conversation is taking way too fucking long, but the conversation is happening and progression is happening.
Moon tortoise.
Yes.
What do you think?
Well, I got off topic. I'm trying to keep an eye out here. I think men are struggling. I'm still pissed off about. I'm lost. You know, I got lost and I said we got to talk about something important. And I went to the comments on Facebook and I realized it came from our private chat. Someone I really like, and I agree. And I like how Gillies gives counterpoints on certain things and brings up certain things I want to bring up. And I'm sitting here watching this house, right, for this young man. Well, his dad. and he's prowling around out in the woods right now because his therapy as a man, after a lot of bad relationships with women, for whatever reason, from what his parents had said, he uses meth. And the last time I had an interaction with this young man, he was dying rapidly in front of my eyes, and his family wants him back. And I'm pinballing around what to do for this guy, and no one's helping him. The police won't help him. I'm gonna have to call 911, and he comes and breaks through the perimeter outside and gets to the deadbolt to avoid a hand-to-hand altercation with this guy, and probably say key words like there's a GUN, so the cops SHOW up, right? Because they never show up. That'll get them there. And I keep seeing this stuff. The unaliving rate for men is up. It's climbing. I got numbers in front of me. You can imagine it. You can Google it. It's climbing. And the reason I brought up gender roles specifically earlier is not because Gilly has been talking about it a lot, and I've also been trying to jump on with it, as I think the gender thing and stuff going on is one of the reasons pitting men against each other. And men feel like they have to live up to an expectation to trad.
Coming right back.
The trad shit.
He said he'll be right back.
Oh, it's trying to cling to traditional values, I think, is what's pitting people into depression in the first place here. You know, if you're trying to bring home, be the breadwinner and stuff all the time, you know, I hear men bragging about how they're working 80 hours a week. I work more hours than you, like it's something to be proud of. You know, these yacht people are just killing everybody. They're killing everybody. They're profiting off of your back. And they're living an entire life of fucking retirement on the back of men working their ass off with no therapy. And they take it out on their women. And then families get ripped apart, which I see all the time. And there's no answers for that. And we all have these questions pinballing back and forth. And that's why I kept bringing that up. And I got upset when I heard that we were talking about something important, because when I bring up all these traditional things like that, it's the reason why we have a huge mental health crisis. I do believe religion plays a huge role in a lot of that. I just do. I do. And it's not an attack on religious people. I'm not tolerant of it anymore because I see how much damage it does. I talk to these guys and these gals and they think, oh, God, just the things they think that you have to do. And I don't hold Christians accountable only for it. It's horrible and terrible for women in other countries to get brutalized under religion by men who also need therapy. So I just don't think it's specifically a health crisis. And whether this month is about it or not, we do have to pay attention to men, but we got to get them talking. You know, we got to get men talking, and we got to drop some of the stuff that forces you to be the Superman or the breadwinner and stuff. We don't need to be at war, and you don't need to protect your woman against bears when you're walking through Kroger. We don't need that shit anymore. When are we going to ever need this provider, this alpha male wolf type archetype in this new world? Well, they're fighting wars and shit. Stop fighting wars. Collectively, we can get together and fucking fix it. That's why we have a mental health crisis. We got to be unified here. No one's unified, and I don't think we're ever going to get to the bottom of it. So that's my take on it. I know it wasn't kind of on point as much, but I had to address that issue. And I don't mean to shut Gilly's point out, and I appreciate everything fucking Gilly says. Love you.
I love you too. And I appreciate all the things you say. I think actually a lot more women are taking on not only the role of breadwinner though now, but continuing to have that role as primary caretaker.
I don't want to
while
speak
taking
on that.
over
I don't want to
mom.
speak on that right now because that is not what the subject's about. Nothing wrong with that, but that is not what the subject's about. I really want to talk about men's mental health
I was tying it back to the men's mental health though.
Okay, thank you.
Because even though that's happening, there are still undertones about whether or not that's correct, and whether or not that makes you more or less of a woman, more or less of a man. And that's the problem. It's that things are slowly changing. But the reality is that, you know, not only do things progress, but then another thing happens, that as you get older, you get more traditional, just slightly more traditional than you were when you were young. So you're still having a generational conversation that's in disagreement, because they come from different times and different values. And rather than demonizing them for those values, I think that we can be teaching people about them by having these conversations, by and most importantly by looking at it honestly, looking at where are the statistics in this, and what are the underlying problems, and how did we get here, and where did we come from, and most importantly, where are we trying to go?
Jonathan,
Yes.
tell me something that is weighing heavy on your soul.
Wow. Okay. I'll share something, and this is something that's happened to me before. I'll just go on and put it out there. So at times, in relationships, there are disagreements, there can be conflicts and fights or whatever, and I never really have much of an issue with it, because I understand that's part of relationships, and it's more about what you do during and afterwards that really kind of tells how healthy it will be, how much you can progress and grow and evolve from that. That's my thoughts and feelings on that. But there are some times when people say things to you in the middle of those arguments, disagreements, discussions, whatever, that take a toll on you mentally. And for me, because of the fact that someone says something to me deliberately to attack me as a man, what they said was, I didn't earn enough money to be respected as a man.
Mm.
Now, that's kind of, I think that's extremely deliberate and pointed an attack, just because they just wanted to hurt me. But that doesn't go away, even if, and there wasn't an apology after that. At no point was there an apology. But certain things have happened, and certain other things, not quite to that extent, but along those lines, have happened and been said to me before. And I was told, you're holding a grudge. Sometimes you should just let things go. And my thought was, well, there was never accountability or an apology for that. So I'm sitting there struggling with, should I just let it go? Is it really an issue that I'm just holding on to it because they're labeling it as a grudge, and that's affecting me personally, my mental health, my stability, because it's stress, and it's a bit of anguish for me to hear something like that, and then have it circle around in my head and attach itself to manhood, and that be a thing that I have to struggle with. Am I doing this and this and this and this to be labeled a good man or a real man, or whatever term people want to use? So to go after something like that makes me feel like, am I really not doing enough as a man? And then I start questioning my own self-worth and things like that. And so that's where some of the mental health issues come from. And potentially it can go into and, manifest into bigger things, greater displays of instability in a man's psyche.
I have so much to say on that. think that's a horrible, horrible misconception of modern culture where we've gotten way too out of control with how we view money. I am a $5 okay? But I will, well, the person next to the big expensive money guy dies and I steal all the stuff off of him in the woods. I will be able to catch you dinner, hunt it with weapons I make. I can cook it and clean it. I can use logs to build a cabin. I mean, sorry, I'm a $5 but I mean, in the grand scheme of things, you're only going to get dropped off with a weird trans person who knows how to fucking forage and survive. I don't think wealth, I think this is a horrible delusion used to further separate people. And I don't think you should feel bad about that, Jonathan. Don't let that hurt you too bad. I think as a person, in order to function in society, we need to have money. But I believe we've become too reliant on it to the point where you're dead if you don't have it. And boy, it's hard.
Explain to me when your sexuality became part of a currency. I can't. I don't know. Not you.
Oh.
Sexuality or gender?
Jonathan is not a man. I'm going to say both because even to wrap that into the fact of money, you can't wrap what you choose to be with or who you are to a currency. You are who you are. You are man because you choose to be a man, whether it has to do with your dollar amount or not. Some people don't look at themselves as a man because because they're not within themselves. They don't feel like they can relate to that within themselves. They don't want to be in that stereotype. They don't want to be labeled into that. They don't want to be put into that class because that is not of them. That doesn't make it any less to say you're not man enough because you don't make enough money. That's what I'm saying. No. So I could say sexuality and I could say gender because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. None of that has to do with currency.
No, I'd like to reinforce Gilly's point though, if that's okay, really quick. And that would be that the girl boss, why that was relevant to men's mental health, is for some reason, and it's completely unreasonable, threatening to a lot of men's masculinity or threatening to men. You know, they don't even want a lot of men I've heard talking, they say they don't even want their wives working. You know, it's not right. And once again, it's weird traditionalist stuff, but the girl boss threatening men is a ridiculous thing. It's just people gaining rights do not take what rights away from you. And that's actually fucking a lot of men up right now. I don't know why.
So what does Joe say?
If other dudes comment that I don't make as much money, which has happened, it's just a huge blatant insecurity.
So what about the baseball player? The baseball player who was at a game who just lost their mother. Did you guys see that?
I did not.
Yeah, and they're on the field, and I think a fan made a comment about it or something like that.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I didn't look too much into it. I didn't read too much into it because it was kind of in passing. I was just kind of scrolling, and I stopped like, what in the world would someone say about that? But yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
They said that's why you're not a good baseball player, that your mom killed herself or died. Because you were such a shitty baseball player. That's why your mom just died.
Oh, well, that person just sounds like an asshole, period.
No, it's not even about that. People say things to hurt somebody because their intent is to cause chaos within you.
Correct.
So they're going to say whatever they want to say, what they feel that will affect you. Now, why I said that was to say this. I dated a guy. I'm going to say dated, even though we didn't date, but I'm going to say dated because I am so traditional and I'm not going to shack up with you if we don't date. So I was dating this guy and he's from Jamaica. Jamaica has a different culture, different rules, different everything. Come here. He was with a girl for 6 years, 7 years. She's busted out his windows of his car, broke out doors in the house, And during a fight, she would always call him abroad because he would cry because they fought so much that it affected him, that he didn't know why she was the way she was, and he couldn't wrap his head around it. So he would express it, and he expressed it with, I can't even just say it's a sign, but he cares with his heart. He's a Cancer. He cares with his heart, and he's really passionate with it. And she attacked his sexuality by calling him a broad.
That's a mean term for women.
People try to demasculate. People try to hit you in a culture. People try to hit you in your financial pocket. Whatever the case may be, to feel like this is going to get you. That they even go to the low as saying, that's why your mom died. I can't wrap my head around why there's so much hate that you want to cause a disruption in another individual, even if it's, hey, bada swing. That, why don't we just stick with that? Or stick with, my other team is better than your team. Why do you have to go to so low to say that's why your mom died?
That's rough. Wow. How about that poor woman from Fox Rescue? Save a Fox, remember her? Michaela Raines, say her name, because they bullied that woman to death on the internet.
Yep. So she
finally did the
out.
horrible thing. It's stuff.
So as a man, he cried on the field and wasn't allowed to have emotions when he was grieving his mother. She just passed not even a week. Grieving his mother. Yet still did his job because he's in contract and his team needed him. So he still come in as a man and did his job when he was mentally prepared for anything. And someone had to go as low as that to say that to that man. I can't wrap my head around why people do what they do. And yet the man cannot cry because then he gets made fun of for crying.
Yeah.
Well, I'd say let the man cry and get made fun of, because it says more about the people making fun of him than it does of the man that's crying.
I'm saying
at some point, at some point, the only way it's going to change, in my opinion, is when men are like, fuck you. I'm sad. I'm going to cry. I'm mad. I'm going to express it. I mean, I don't think that we have to wait for society to change and give permission. Men just take permission to fucking express your feelings.
I had a man come to me and tell me that a lady was trying to stop them from going out of the house constantly. And they were triggering. They were just picking at this man. He grabbed her leg and moved it away from the door and said, I gotta go. She called the cops and said that he did some terrible things to her that he did not do. But because he was a man of a different race, and because he was a man, they pushed a bunch of charges on him. He had to take a plea deal for something he never did because he wanted to leave.
Well, I don't know about that case.
I do. So that's
but
why I wanted to talk about it. So when did it become the point that you can't express yourself? When it become the point that men's mental health does not matter no more? Then I'm going to hit you where I think it's going to hurt. Because I'm hurting.
And what I'm saying is, I think men's mental health absolutely matters, and it's becoming a topic of conversation, and it's been a topic of conversation for a very long time. I think that we need to continue in that way rather than looking back. I think that, I think that mental health in general carries a stigma. If somebody's experiencing a mental health crisis, the mental health world is quick to jump on it, put you on contracts and require you to take certain things and lock you up. So I don't think that anybody is safe from that, because the reality is that mental health is monetized. And so, you know, I think that we all need to look at how we're being affected. I do not think that it's affecting one gender. I think that when some of us are sick, we're all sick. And to heal, that we all need to heal together, and understand that our experiences are not that different. Although I may not relate to somebody saying it to me as a man, I can relate to something that somebody has said to a man to shame them about their feelings, as a way that I was shamed about my feelings, or a way that I was punished for expressing my feelings, or a way that I got caught up with things and contracts that are legally binding because of my feelings, or
I'm
because
gonna mute you. I'm gonna mute you,
or
Gil. We only got 10 minutes. Hey, DDH.
Hey guys, I know if you see me there.
No, and I apologize. I just saw you. I saw you pop on real quick, and I wanted to mute her real quick, because I know last time I didn't get to you, and you had to dip. So what about the baseball player? You told me about it, and then I want you to talk about how does it feel being a man, and does your mental health matter?
Well, the baseball player, I thought that was. I actually recalled a story too that Henry mentioned about the lady who did that. But yeah, I mean, it was pretty emotional for someone to just say something about his mom, and then that hurting him like that. At the end, justice did prevail, because he not only got banned from that game, he's no longer able to attend any baseball games ever, no matter what team it's for. So, but to just see that player and he make that and still become emotional like that, it shows that people do have feelings and words do hurt. Just like that lady with the fox, you know, those words hurt so much that she didn't want to be here no more. And so words can hurt and cut, and I think as far as with the men, it's kind of crazy, because we are taught that we're supposed to be strong and not able to express ourselves, and that kind of get tough sometimes, because I think about it. That's why I like that song so much, because he speak on that. And when I was listening to those lyrics, it hit me, because I'm like, yeah, that's kind of how it is a little bit. But I think that it
Oh, you're
shouldn't
gone, Danny.
stop us from still expressing ourselves, though. But it happens.
It does.
I didn't hear what you said. I apologize, because Henry was saying something at the exact same time. What did you say?
Oh, I said it kind of shows that it's like that, but I think that it shouldn't be like that. Like, we should be able to express ourselves and not be afraid. Anybody should be able to be honest.
How hard is it for you in your past relationships or jobs or anything to speak on your feelings, or even in your own home as a youth? How hard was it for you to have emotions and speak on those?
Oh, it was real hard. Growing up, I wasn't able to really speak too much, and I was silent a lot up until I got into my adult years. And even then, people would always say I was shy because I barely talked. And it took me a while, even though I did music. That's why another reason the music helped, because I knew that if I couldn't say or felt comfortable saying what I needed to out to people, that I could express myself through music. And I was so good at it that it was going to make people listen. So it was hard, though, trying to talk growing up. Growing up in a broken home, it was kind of tough.
So, do you have anything you want to say before you have to go back? And what is your positive message afterwards?
Yeah, just remember that no matter if you're in what gender you are, mental health matters, and to always make sure that you take care of it, and talk to people about it, because even just the show alone, this is like a great. I feel like this is a major counseling session for everybody out there who needs someone to talk to. And so, you know, I think just know that somebody always there to talk to. And Jonathan, I heard you, the things you were saying. You know, just know that there's always somebody there to talk to. Even might not be the same situation you've been through, but it's something that's similar to where I'm pretty sure everybody on this team can relate to and try to give you some insight to help you get through it. So much love, man, and just know that just stay strong. My pop's favorite quote: "Keep hope alive."
Oh yeah, definitely.
I love that, Danny.
Thank you for coming.
All right, I love you guys. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your night.
I love you
Appreciate
too.
I love you too, Danny.
I apologize, Gil. Go ahead.
Oh,
Go
there
ahead.
we go. Okay, sorry. No, I don't remember what I was going ahead with at this
Ah!
time, so it's okay. We can move forward.
I apologize though, because he only has a few minutes, and if I
No,
don't catch
it
it, I'll get caught
honestly
up.
doesn't bother me at all.
I
Do
love
not
that.
take it personally. I love when he comes on.
Me too. And if I don't catch it, I didn't catch it one time because I was in between switching songs and I was caught up and I didn't even see them come on. And I feel bad afterwards. I'm such an empath. I feel bad. And he's going to be coming on Christy's show on the 29th to talk about mental health also. And it really does matter. And it's sad that it has to be that way. Generations been passed on and passed on and passed on and passed on. You're supposed to be strong. You're supposed to be this and you're supposed to be that. And you're supposed to be a rock. But yet you can't speak on feelings and have emotions because rocks don't have them. So then what's your problem? Why are you here? I just, why were you even broiled if you cannot have feelings, if you can't speak on them, if you can't be able to cry? I don't know. It sucks. It sucks that things are the way they are, and it sucks that it keeps getting passed on. I think in order for us to make a change, we have to break the generational curses that have been put on in the stigmas that are in this world. When I said earlier, it shouldn't be this way because it shouldn't, yet it is. So now we have to deal with it. And it sucks. Jonathan, you have a son. Please let him know that his emotions matter and his feelings matter and he can cry. And please let him know that he is not weak or poor or anything less because he chooses to do whatever he chooses to do with life. You protect this country, and I don't know why, but I'm not gonna belittle you for it. And I'm not gonna demasculate you as a man because that's what you choose to do. I'm actually proud of you because a lot of people won't.
Very true. Appreciate that.
No, thank you. Thank you for serving. Thank you for being a part of something serious. And you're doing it willingly for years and continue doing
Absolutely.
it for years. And I can't wrap my head around why. It's not your war and it has nothing to do with you. In the war, they're going to fight regardless if you're there or not. But yet you're still there. And I'm proud of you for that. Let your son know he can be whatever he wants to be. If he wants to be a cat, just meow like Henry does.
Meow.
If he somehow immaculately grows a tail, we're gonna have a different set of situations going on around here. But okay.
You might
That's how I do.
you might make enough money though to be able to have feelings though. Think about that. You might have your testicles drop now because your dollar amount has raised. I don't know how that happens, but it might. Because if your son walks around and grows a tail, a lot of people are going to be doing some searching and you're going to make a lot of money. So let me test the scales out and see which one weighs better.
Yeah. We'll do.
And your boy is a good looking boy. Like for real, the whole modeling thing, both of you. Your voice is amazing, your face is amazing. You both should do it. And I wish I was able to have that conversation. I crashed my dad's cars, lots of them, many of times. And my dad never once said to me, "You can never borrow my car." My dad never once said to me, "Why do you keep crashing my cars?" My dad never once said to me, "You're no longer my daughter because you keep crashing my cars." I eventually stopped crashing his cars and started crashing mine. But at the end of the day, I did crash a lot of his cars. I mean, way more than 5. And yet he was still my dad and I was still his daughter.
Yeah, absolutely.
None of that changed. So I'm proud of you for being mindful enough to be able to have a conversation with somebody on that level with that much respect and love for yourself. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Gilly, we're gonna wrap this up and do positive. We have always pass on a positive information. I feel as though I kicked a lot of people off this show, and I'm glad you weren't one, Gilly. I don't mean to attack people or make people feel uncomfortable. My intent is never that. All I want to do is love and be loved. And the universe is a matter of factual. So I'm going to say this real quick, correctly. I want to be loved correctly and loved correctly because I love myself correctly. Gilly, what's your positive quote or information or message? Gil, are you here?
Jonathan, if you're crying, you come back and you do it here, mister. No.
Here he comes. Gil. Oh, nope, she ain't here.
Oh my goodness.
All right. Jonathan, positive message. Positive message.
All right. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Oh
Okay.
yeah.
Positive message. Whew. I will say this. So, and I'm going to speak to the men as far as this goes, just for this reason. Men, when you feel like you have something to say it. If you think it's going to fall upon deaf ears, say it anyway. Them not hearing you does not mean that you didn't say anything. Expression, expression, expression. Communicate, communicate, communicate. Because it's more about their problem than yours. And I know we don't want to just try to place blame here and there just because. Men, speak your truth, communicate your feelings and your thoughts. Even if you don't think it matters, I promise you it does. And that person might not react to it, but trust me, they heard what you said. So it can plant the seed there. And maybe someone else will come along and water it later on in their life. But you just plant that seed.
That was good.
Yeah.
I liked it. So, Moon Tortoise, positive message.
Oh boy. I'm going to try and wrap this up quickly. First of all, Jonathan, I really try not to take some of that to hype. There's a lot of hype to heart. I'm like, hype. You a hype man. Just with your voice alone, I don't think you'll ever be able to lose that man card. So you got that really, really going for you. And what can I say? I love a man in uniform. I'm just messing with you. So yeah, no, you're I think you're an exemplary man. You're a wonderful musician. I love talking to you. I think you're smart. I think it's a great thing. So, and I really want to move on to what Danny said, is that we are a counseling session. I believe we are necessary because of the healthcare system. This to putting the men down like this. So we ain't perfect, as you see. We talk over each other, we mute each other, we want to hear each other, we sometimes miss points, but we love each other, and that's part of it. So there's the real aspect to that. And I will end on the last thing saying that you said you pissed people off, Kimberly. I think I pissed people off too, maybe. I don't know, maybe I did. Either way, when I looked at the chat, I feel like I feel bad that Cyrus left. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make the end of it for sure about championing men. And I wouldn't want to be a man right now. You know, it really sucks because women are going after men left and right about how violent they are. And it is conditioned into a lot of people beaten in. So now it's really hard and people want to hang out with bears in the woods and we just don't know which way to go. But we really can champion men here because, man, I know some damn good men, and a damned good man is an awesome thing. And good bros are really hard to come by. So put yourself in the bracket where people like you, where you're happy, where you have empathy. And if you need to, you can swing a punch if you have to. All we want to do is coexist together and love each other. And the parts fit together with every one of us, and you can have fun with them, and it's free. So just please, let's get back on track. I know we can do this. Men can do it. There's awesome men out there, and the women who care about them, and the girly boys too. Femboys are out there for you too. Anyway, you know what? Let's do it. Mental Health Month.
And that's why we don't argue, because I love you.
I love you all.
I am 50 years old, and I've been searching for someone that I can put a blindfold on and just lead me correctly and mindfully and love themselves correctly. I don't care about their pocketbook. I don't care about what they've been through. I don't care about anything. I just want to be able to be protected, guarded, and guided and led correctly, blindfolded. And it's hard because a lot of good men are damaged by women that aren't healthy and healed. And when it comes to my turn of getting them, I have to help repair them. So thank you for speaking. That right there is a big thing. Thank you for speaking, because it matters. That's it. May your night be full of positive energy and high vibrations. And thank you for allowing us into your home, your heart, your ears, and your time. And you matter. It doesn't matter your race, your sex, your religion, none of that. Shit. Because Moon Tortoise said, if you weren't alive, neither would your world be for you. So you are the most important person in it. Remember that. Night, everyone.
Night.
Let's get to the bottom of this one. Unspoken truths that I miss one. Tap into the minds of the people. Rather acknowledge before I dismiss one. Atheists, Muslim, Christians, Buddhists, they all got usage. All got perspective. It's a collective. Get to the bottom where the truth is. Where the heart's uncovered. Boy, detox from all of the lies you smothered. When them tries to kill you, but with faith you recover. Yeah. Peel off the makeup. We finna take off. Never said it'd be a cakewalk. Meditate till we charged up. Execute goes regardless. Decalcify my pineal. Breaking language barriers, we saw millennials. Planets passing age rotations, down me we owe. So down me we know. Sometimes we can be slow, that's why my ears open. Every drop you add could complete the ocean. Speak up, play your part too. Been vulnerable, it's so hard to reflect on all the juice like torture. It's on you, tell the truth.
Yeah, we about to have a good conversation. Yeah, let's go. We about to have a good conversation. Yeah, let's go. We about to have a good conversation. Yeah. let's talk. Listen, yeah. Aim in the fit so you see in the mirror. Play with your focus and watch it get clear. Polish your crown, turn it up if you wear it. You live in the root, release what you're fearing. And watch it all rise, the righteous will hear it. They calling us twisted, I'm not even caring. Because it's unseen, the mind is too barren. They won't even heal it, they pass it to cheering. We over here healing, conversing and listening. Know that the truth isn't always appealing, but end it with healing and find your beginning. Frequency positive, what you receiving. Perception is up to you, what you believing. What you retrieving, mentally speaking. Life that they breathing, no words from a heathen. Don't know it all, but together undefeated. Conversation, rather want it, you need it. Could fill up your tank before it's depleted. Don't care if you calling on Allah, Jesus, Buddha or Christian, not being facetious. Come to the tribe with the students and teachers. All got a voice, we the ears that'll listen. We the ears that'll listen. We the ears that'll listen. Conversation, rather want it, you need it. Could fill up your tank before it's depleted. Don't care if you calling on Allah, Jesus, Buddha or Christian, not being facetious. Come to the tribe with the students and teachers. All got a voice, we the ears that'll listen. We the ears that'll listen. We the ears that'll listen. Hey. Yeah. We about to have a good conversation. Yeah, let's go. We about to have a good conversation. Yeah, let's go. Praying for truth cause the world is so fickle. Keeping my mental how clean as a whistle. Attention's a trap, they can lead you astray. Sneering this ship through the storm and the haze. Real conversations are lost in the greed. Others get lost in the web that it weaves. Sift through the rhetoric, uncover schemes. Knowledge inherited, this is imperative. I got a lot on my mind and I'm sharing it. Apples to oranges, it ain't no comparisons. I'm the type that'll never break character. I'm the type to make memories and cherish them. Trust intuition and doubt or disparity. Pursuing the echoes of wisdom. Chasing that moment of clarity. Conversation rather one and you need it. Come fill up your tank before it's depleted. Don't care if you calling on Allah, Jesus, Buddha or Christian, not being facetious. Come to the track with the students and teachers. All got a voice, who the ears that'll listen. We the ears that'll listen. We the ears that'll listen. Conversation rather one and you need it. Come fill up your tank before it's depleted. Don't care if you calling on Allah, Jesus, Buddha or Christian, not being facetious. Come to the track with the students and teachers. All got a voice, who the ears that'll listen. Who the ears that'll listen. We the ears that'll listen.
It's on, you tell the truth.
Babe, so much bullshit.
Oh, I knew you'd be back.
This message is long and it's good.
What?
It
Whose?
is so good. What SGF Ram said. It is so long, but it is so good. Let me end this.
Oh, I thought he was hella pissed.